Alright, and welcome back. This is yet another installation of the tailcone construction videos. Right now I'm in the process of putting together the aft bulkheads. I believe this one in particular is, I want to say this is the second from the back. So the tailcone has, I believe it's four bulkheads that consist of basically the framework that the skins wrap around, and one of which is essentially attached directly to the vertical stabilizer. Then there's this one, which basically bolts onto the aft end of the horizontal stabilizer to hold it in place, and then one in front of it, and that one is used to bolt down the forward end of the horizontal stabilizer, and then there's two more bulkheads in front of that, and so I guess there's five altogether. But anyway, the process is to basically set these all up, put the skins or the bulkheads together, match everything together, make sure it's all good to go, and then you rivet the two halves together essentially for each set. On the table there, towards the bottom of the screen, you see the two bars. Those are the two bars that you had to flatten out that you saw in the last video. Those are the attach points for the horizontal stabilizer on the forward end. So you'll attach those to a bulkhead, and then eventually all of that gets riveted into the framework of the rest of the tailcone. So a lot of this process is, again, doing the normal preparation stuff, going through deburring everything, going through the edges and also the lightning holes, hitting that with the deburring tool. And then basically you just primer it and put everything together. The process is pretty quick. Watching some of the other videos of some folks putting RV-10s together and talking to my grandfather-in-law about when he put his RV-4 together, this kit is so much faster. You end up not doing a lot of the tedious work that was involved in the other models, where you would assemble everything, match drill every hole, pull everything apart, deburr everything, then primer, then put it back together, then finally rivet everything together. This one takes out that middle part where you just assemble it, make sure it's all deburred, and go to town. So it's a whole lot faster. So there was a couple spots where on this one where you do have to match drill, so I pull it apart and then you deburr the holes. The big thing is, even when you have the pieces sandwiched together and you drill a hole through it, you want to make sure you pull it back apart and deburr the hole so you don't actually have any kind of metal shavings in between the metal pieces, so that you make sure you have a good fit when you go to rivet. So through this process, you end up using the 470 rivets. They're a little bit longer because you're going through the thick metal plates for the where the horizontal stabilizer fastens to. One of the things that I need to get, and I had originally purchased one, but I had no idea how to use my pneumatic squeezer. Right now I'm using spacers to get the gap set correctly when I'm squeezing rivets. Well, there's a tool that you can attach that is basically a shaft that you can use a wrench and adjust that gap. Instead of using spacers, you just turn the shaft and it closes or opens up that gap so that you're setting the rivets correctly. Well, unfortunately, when I had it, I was beginning to use the pneumatic squeezer and didn't fully understand the proper way to use it, and I squeezed it too much. Basically, I squeezed it together, and I ended up bending the shaft because the shaft was driven out too far, and it just closed. It just pressed in on itself, and pneumatic pressure just bent the shaft. I need to get another one of those. Now that I know how to actually set the gaps correctly to set the rivets, hopefully I can get a new one and not bend it this time. But it makes it so much easier if you don't have to sit there and figure out how many washers to put in there yeah. So if you have a pneumatic squeezer, which I highly recommend you have one, you want to get the adjustable ram for the pneumatic squeezer. It's so much easier. So anyway, now I'm going on to some of the other bulkheads. You see the big giant bulkhead there, the ring that's currently unpainted. You put all these together, and then eventually you will get the frame that you've already constructed to this point, the battery box frame and whatnot, and then the bottom skin, and then you'll put it all upside down and you'll cleco and then rivet it all into place. The large bulkhead that you see there, you actually only put one rivet in the top portion. There is a rib that goes, or a stiffener essentially, that goes along the top on the top skin that will attach to the other three holes on the top of that bulkhead there. But the rest of this process is pretty straightforward. The tailcone kit, the tailcone portion of this kit is actually very simple. It's not a lot of repetition because it's different parts for everything that you're doing. Every step here is something different. There are a couple spots where I made mistakes and I ended up having to reorder a couple parts, and I'll explain those or talk to those when I get to those parts. But for the most part, it's just a matter of going from page to page and paying particular attention to if it's the tail dragger instructions or the tricycle gear instructions. You get a lot of that in this section 10. But other than that, it's pretty straightforward. So I've been working on this now for about 2 or 3 weeks, and I expect that I'll be done by the end of another 3 or 4 weeks, by the end of April. I actually, as of right now, I have officially ordered my wing kit. I actually submitted the order about 2 weeks ago. They sent me a letter, an order confirmation letter that I had to sign and send in to them. But I was able to get it all paid for and ready to go, and now I'm just waiting for them to ship it. In fact, the letter said that April 30th, the week of April 30th, they will crate the kit together and then send it off. So hopefully the first week of May, but definitely by the second week of May, I should see that delivered. And my goal is to have this all done and be ready for the wings when they get here. Like I've said before, this has gone by much quicker than I anticipated. I thought that the empennage kit would take me a full year, and I'm barely 4, maybe 5 months, and I'll be done. I don't expect the wing kit will take much longer because it's just a lot of repetitive ribs mostly that you get ready and then you set. So the big things I have left on the tailcone is I've got it about halfway built. And once I get it completed, then you go into the section where you'll attach the elevators and everything. You'll attach everything to the tailcone, and then you'll line it up and get all the fairings done, and then I'll be done. It's I think a month is probably a good time frame. Maybe an extra week or two, but I think a month is probably a good time frame. So I'll be ready just as the wings get here. So I'm pretty excited about that. But anyway, like I said, the rest of this is just working on these bulkheads, getting all the preps done, dimpling all the flanges, and getting it ready to assemble onto the skins. So for those that continue to watch these videos, I appreciate it. It's fun putting these together. I'm enjoying myself putting the kit together, that's for sure. But it's cool to see that people have an interest in this. And if you have an interest in building a kit, I would highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun. I don't have any more experience with any of this stuff than anybody else does. It's something that you can definitely do. If anything else, I definitely would say that this is something you definitely can do. So I'm going to let this video end here. If you get a chance, hit that like button for me. And if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, by all means, leave them down below and I'll address those as I can. And we'll see you next time around.